My name is Anita. I'm the manager of Adult Day and Employment Options at the Regional Center of Orange County. I'm going to be going over a lot of information today, and some of it I'm not going to spend too much time on because it seems like for today's purpose, we're going to be focusing more on our employment options. I want to start a little bit with eligibility. As Judi shared, these are all services that are funded through Regional Center of Orange County, so you do need to be a client of Regional Center. If you are not a client and you would like to find out more information on how to be a client, you can go on our website at www.rcocdd.com and you can scroll through the page and just input intake, and it'll take you to the page where you can email, call, or even stop in to talk about services. So when I'm talking about Regional Center Adult Services, this is when you have either graduated from high school and have received your high school diploma. There's a new track to receiving your high school diploma in California called the Alternative Pathway to a Diploma. So it functions the same way as a regular high school diploma and actually qualifies you the same way that a diploma would. So it's a little bit of a different pathway to get your high school diploma, but at the end of your high school years, you do receive your high school diploma. Or if you choose to go to adult transition program, you do need to be 22 years old and have completed the program wholly through the school district and received your certificate of completion. When it comes to employment, because Regional Center is an employment first policy agency, we do make a lot of exceptions case by case when it comes to employment services. So feel free to reach out to your service coordinator if you are in high school or you're currently attending adult transition program, and we can talk about some other services that might fit what you're looking for at that time. I'm going to briefly touch on these traditional models because a lot of these models don't necessarily focus on employment. They are really available to meet some of your other needs, whether you want to be out in the community and learn different skills like how to make a purchase or how to take the bus or just begin the early phases of job exploration. So we have our ADHC, our Adult Day Healthcare, or our CBAS programs, and these are a great program if you have an intense medical need. So if you have something like a G tube or a trach, or you require injections that really shouldn't be done by a layperson, that type of support should be done by a medical service professional, then this type of program would be a good fit for you. The only program issue with this model is that there is no community integration. So I know that it says community-based adult services, but it's oftentimes misleading for families because they think, oh, I'm going to be out in the community. You are actually on site all day because there's not enough nursing staff to go out with every individual if they want to access the community. The other part about this program is there tends to be more of the senior population. So if you're coming straight out of high school and you have this medical need and you are referred to this program, it might meet your medical condition needs, but it might not help you focus on your goals or reach those goals when it comes to employment. So that's something you'll need to talk to your service coordinator because we can explore other types of programs and perhaps have a medical professional like an LVN with you while you're attending these other programs. So these other programs can look like this. They can be an adult development program or an activity center. And these are programs that you can be on site all day, you can be out in the community all day, or a mixture of both. Our behavior management programs are a little bit of a smaller ratio. They also come with the support of a BCBA as well as highly qualified staff to help support you out in the community to reach those goals. You could also be on site all day or out in the community or a mixture of both based off of what you want to accomplish and what you want your day to look like. And then our newest model that came out in January of 2026 is called the Medical Model Day Program. So earlier I was talking about how the CBAS program can meet your medical needs, but it might not help you meet the goals like employment or being out with other people, making friends, volunteering. Our medical model day program is that nice mix that can help bridge that gap. Because under this service model, you're going to have medical professionals. You're going to have an RN, an LVN. You're going to have staff that are trained on your medical condition, and they're able to go out with you into the community. So you can do job exploration or be supported in looking for a job while still be able to have your medical needs safely met. So it's a good bridge between all of these programs if you have multiple needs. And then we have a few alternative options. For those that reside in the family home, if none of the day program options work for you, there's a service called PAWA, or Personal Assistance in Lieu of Day Program. And as the name says, it's in lieu of day program. So you would get 30 hours Monday through Friday, and you would be able to have activities such as going out to the community, or you can work on some school supports at home. It's pretty much a catch-all, and the setting is going to be very flexible because you can provide the service in the home or out in the community, or kind of a blend of both. You're also able to pick your own provider if you'd prefer a family member, a parent, a sibling, a neighbor, or a trusted mentor that you enjoy working with. This is a good service for you because you can actually pick that provider. But if you don't have someone in mind, we can actually use an outside agency to provide that support for you. So good option if day program is really not your thing, or you want some flexibility in providing services in the home, this would be an option you might want to explore. And then also, if you need support at college or at your job or in a day program for things like ambulation, you need some support with walking or using the restroom or while eating, or even just support at college for safety needs. When you think about going to college and you are 18 years old, you're not always quite ready for that adult environment. And personal assistance for support at college could be really beneficial to help you feel at ease, especially in the first year or two when you are first starting off college. Okay, now let's talk all things employment. So everything that is listed on this slide has to do with employment. So from now moving forward, we're only going to talk about employment and how you can be supported and what the right model under our employment options are. So I'm going to be talking about supported employment, both individual and group, our employment first programs, tailored day services, our PIP or paid internship program, as well as project search. All right, so let's start with supported employment. And there's two models under supported employment. The first is individual supported employment. This is something that, if you guys, I think Rebecca, you're on here with Zavikon. Zavikon is a supported employment vendor. So under this model, you are pretty independent. You're able to do the job once you get the ropes. So you really need that support with obtaining a job, building your resume, learning how to look for a job, job seeking, support at the interview. So everything that goes around with getting a job. And then you are provided 100% job coaching, meaning your job coach is with you the whole time while you learn the initial steps of the job. And then once you feel comfortable, then that 100% is going to titrate down to 20% support on the job. So when I first started in this field, I was a job coach for individual supported employment. So oftentimes the clients that I had on my roster didn't necessarily need ongoing support in terms of handholding, but I would step in a few times a week and just check in, spot check. How are things going? Is there anything that you are struggling to learn, or anything new in terms of responsibilities that came your way? I might check in with your manager to see how things are going and if there's anything else that I can help reinforce or to help support. So as a job coach, my role is not there to be next to you the entire time. It's to help support you for that longevity and make sure that your job is sustainable for both you as well as the work site. It is a shared funding model. We work with an agency called Department of Rehabilitation. So they fund for the beginning half. And then once you're considered stable on the job and that 20% support is appropriate for you, then regional center takes over the long-term job coaching funding. That's individual supported employment. So again, a great fit for someone that's really independent, can do the job, but needs the support in getting the job and the initial job coaching. We have another model called group supported employment, and this is a shared job coach situation. So 3 to 4 individuals might be placed at a job. One of our biggest contracts is at Camp Pendleton. So we have several groups that go down with their job coach. They're supported by their job coach, and the 3 to 4 individuals are doing different parts of the job at the same location. That Camp Pendleton, obviously, you all know it's a large location. They have several different mess halls. So we have a lot of group supported employment cohorts that go down there, and their job coach assigns them a certain part of the job, and they're all together throughout the day. So their job coach is available there if they need it, but their job coach is, again, not going to be with them the whole time once they learn the ropes. So this is purely regional center funded. DOR does not step in any longer for group supported employment. They do not feel that this is an integrated setting. Regional center feels otherwise. So this is a great setup if you still need that support and you would prefer to be working with other peers, but you are having the same type of job task as anybody else that works at that company would have. Oh, and I forgot to mention, if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, or you can raise your hand. Judi, I don't know if there's anything in the chat. I see those numbers going up.
I haven't seen any, but there are some. Hold on. Just keep going and I'll check for you.
Okay, thank you. All right. So that model I talked about with supported employment, it's for someone that is fairly independent and would benefit from having that initial job coach, but later on is pretty much solo, with the exception of having those spot checks. What happens if you need more support than that? We have something called our Employment First programs that do exactly that. So under this model, you can have a job coach with you the whole time that you're looking for a job, you're looking for an internship, or you have a job or an internship. And what we have found is individuals that need that job coaching with them 100% of the time can still sustain a job. They can still do the work by themselves. They just benefit from having a job coach with them in case they need clarification on a job duty or they come across a situation that they need a little bit more help with. So our Employment First program can allow for a job coach to be with that individual the whole time. But the cool part about this program is while supported employment is only about work, our Employment First programs can be about work plus everything else that a day program can do. So if you want to work part-time or intern part-time, but you want to be supported at school, or you want to volunteer somewhere or be out in the community and attend community classes, this program allows for a mixing and matching of schedule activities, including work, along with things that you want to accomplish outside of work. So it's that nice blend of work-life balance where you want to accomplish some employment goals, but you still want to do other things out in the community. I will say, go ahead.
Oh, Anita, I do have a question when you have a good moment for a break.
Sure. So I will say though, long story short, one of the changes that DDS has made is they are no longer funding for new Employment First programs. There was something called rate reform that we all went through in the past 2 years where our vendors are now supposed to be paid the same rate. And because of that, a lot of our Employment First programs have chosen not to proceed with new referrals. So it can be a little bit tricky getting into a program like this, but it isn't impossible. Go ahead, Judi.
Yeah, I think Dania has a really good question. And you'll probably cover it later. But for those that are regional center clients,
oh, Judi, I think you went on mute.
I'll continue on my slide.
Hold on. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So the question is about if you're a regional center client, how do you ask about these services? And then also, how do you find the employer that you're going to work with to implement these services? And if you cover it at the end, that's fine. I just know that that's a question that people have.
That is a great question. So it's going to be on our website, but back in March, I did a 2 hour long training on adult day services, including how do you access these services? How do I know what the right fit for me is? And how do I navigate and plan out all of these? So, Judi, I'm going to provide to you via email. I don't know if you have a Google Drive or a website you can add resources in, and I'll send you some forms that way. But we have at Regional Center something called Adult Resource Group. And our Adult Resource Group, there's one in each of our offices, and we have 2 offices. They run once a week, and the service coordinator signs up for Adult Resource Group, and they ask for referrals. So your service coordinator represents you, and they represent your goals, your support needs, what you want to accomplish. So it's really important that you communicate well with your service coordinator. And a lot of times, families and individuals don't always know what to communicate. And so I always recommend two things. Number one, what is it that you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? What are your goals? And number two, how much support do you need to get there? So when our service coordinator has that information, they're going to sign up for a resource group, and the resource group coordinators will then provide referrals to different agencies that match those criteria. And when you receive those referrals and you call those agencies and you do your intake, there's a form called the Program Tour Q&A. You can also find that on our website, and it's in multiple languages. And it helps guide the conversation between yourself and that vendor. So you know what questions to ask, what are things that are important to you, important for you. And it's really important that you complete this, because if that's not the right program for you, the form guides you through those questions. And you're going to talk to your service coordinator and say, I went to see so-and-so program. This is what I liked about them, but this is what I wish they had. And that'll help the service coordinator receive additional referrals to help make that matching process more successful.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions in the chat before I proceed? Okay, good. Tailor day services. So Tailor day services and employment first programs to me run very similarly. The only difference is under Tailor day services, you get a maximum of 20 hours per week. Don't ask how those numbers were created. The state created the 20 hours. There is something down the pipeline, hopefully for next year, that gets rid of that limitation, because 20 hours is really wacky in my opinion. While day program model is typically about 30 hours a week, it's that 6 hours a day, 5 days a week model. But Tailor day services, for whatever reason, is 20 hours maximum per week. The great thing about this service is it's really flexible. It can be provided in person, at your house, remotely, at school, at your job, at your day program, or a mixture of all of them. So it's really based off of how you want this service to be implemented. You're going to have a one-to-one staff for this service. And typically, Tailor day services are used for two different reasons. One is for post-secondary education support. So thinking back to those that went to college, thinking back to your college years and when you first started off, signing up for your classes, that is not easy. Knowing which classes to sign up for and doing time management and making sure that this class is available for this major, and even going to the actual college campus and mapping out where your classes are, making sure you have enough time to get from one class to another and having enough time for breaks. How do I meet with my college counselor? How do I sign up for all these great clubs that are on my campus? These are all things that are difficult to navigate. So our Taylor Day service agencies are able to do that. In fact, they have qualified staff that have a background in education that can provide post-secondary education support. But let's say that you're, knee deep in your college classes and you also need help remotely. Let's say you choose to take classes remotely and you want someone to come to your house to help support you with logging in and organizing all of your work and making sure you're on top of your classes. Perfect. Taylor Day can do that for you. So that's one of the most popular ways that this service is utilized. But the other one is everything related to employment. So you might be home for the summer and you need help looking for an internship and you need support at the orientation, and that's it. You don't need help when you're actually at the internship. TDS can help set that up for you. They can help you look for a volunteer position or the development of a job or a paid internship or support at a job or an internship. So a lot of flexibility in how the service can be utilized. And again, the only caveat is that 20 hours of support per week. So if you have something that's part-time or you're going to school part-time and this works out for you, great. Then Taylor Day might be a service that might meet your needs. Okay, moving on to my favorite program of regional centers called the Paid Internship Program. Boy, this program has launched in popularity over the past, I think we're almost coming up on 10 years now that this program launched. And really the purpose and the goals of this program are twofold. The first is discovering career pathways. I can tell you, I have never met someone that has been at the same job that they first started off at. I have never met someone. So if you know someone that is now, many years later, still at the same job that they first had when they first started off in a career, kudos to them, because I don't know a single person that has done that. And that's because we, as our employment careers have progressed, have tried different career pathways. We've tried to see, is this the right field for us, or is this the right department or division for us? And we have the ability to discover our interests and our goals, and that could change throughout the years. So for me, I went to college in Maryland, and that's very close to DC. And I started off as a poli-sci major. That's what everybody majored when I came to University of Maryland. It's always a poli-sci major. I did my first internship, and I quickly realized this is not the pathway for me. I do not like anything to do with politics. This is not for me at all. And so I was able to change my major to psych and social work. And I did my internship there, and it was great. I loved it. And I had that opportunity to discover if this was the right career pathway through an internship opportunity. So same thing here. Is this where I want to put all of my eggs in a basket? Is this something that I want to really devote my time and energy to? When I talk to a lot of people starting off in the career field with Regional Center, they always say, I want to work with animals or Disney. Working with animals is not very glamorous. It's not petting animals or holding animals all day. It's cleaning up a lot of poop. It's cleaning up and doing a lot of kennel clean outs and doing a lot of laundry and a lot of things that are not what you thought working with animals would be like. And a lot of times you're seeing animals that are hurt or in distress, especially in the vet clinic. Do you have the capacity for that? I'm very squeamish. I do not. So figuring out before I go to school to be a vet tech or to be a vet, trying your hand in this field is going to be really important. For Disney, a lot of people want to work at Disneyland, but if you are overstimulated easily, maybe that's not the career pathway for you, because a lot of times in their entry-level positions, they're working at those stands that they have where they sell food or different merchandise. You have a lot of loud kids coming up to you. You have sometimes overstimulated parents coming up to you. It's hot. You don't always get to pick your schedule, especially when you start off at. Is that really the pathway for you? I don't know. Let's discover it through our internship program. And then the other way that we use it is, let's say you have a good amount of work experience and you've been trying really hard to get your foot in the door of a specific career or a company. We can apply the paid internship program to give you a leg up. I will go over a story. I'm going to call him Ryan. Ryan actually graduated with a double degree from UCLA, and he had graduated 2 years ago by the time I met with him, and he was having the worst time finding a job. On paper, he was, I mean, absolutely qualified and brilliant. He had one of the highest GPAs I've ever seen. He had passed 3 out of his 4 CPA tests on his own and had a hard time finding a job so he can pass his fourth because that needed supervision hours. So I met with him and I'm thinking, this resume is amazing. Why can't he get a job? And then I met with him and I realized he was not making eye contact. He was staring at the floor the whole time. He was thinking about his answers in his head before saying it. And so he came across very quiet, very not confident. And we realized the regular way of going for a job is not going to work for him. We need to apply the paid internship program. So we set him up with a vendor who was able to find him a very small CPA office, and he was able to get his hours to pass that fourth CPA test. And later on, after his internship, many years later, I found a job posting for City of Norwalk on their tax board franchisee department, sent him the job listing, he applied and he got it, and he makes so much money and he has the best benefits. And so, do I think the paid internship had a lot to do with that? Yeah, absolutely. Because he was able to complete his CPA licensing. He was able to get real world experience that was paid to put on his resume. So, a lot of different ways that we can use this. But the ultimate goal is for you to get a job or to gain skills so that you can one day get a job. And we develop the paid internship opportunity with you and your circle of support. We talk about what are your employment goals? What are your interests? What do you want to accomplish? What skills are you bringing with to the table? And what are your strengths? What are areas of support that you need? What are some barriers that you face? What is the right support model? Dania, earlier you had asked about that. How do I know what the right model is for me or the right program? This is the meeting that we talk about. What is the right type of support that you need? And this is the beauty of the program. We give each person 1,040 hours per year at minimum wage or higher, or whatever that prevailing rate is. In fact, the very first intern that we had at Regional Center of Orange County, she did her research on Indeed and Glassdoor and all of those websites and said, someone in this position should not be earning minimum wage. I have my child development certification, and the average wage for that is $19.64. That number will always stick with me. And she advocated, and she was absolutely right. So, whatever that prevailing rate for a position in an internship would be, or the local minimum wage, either one works. And we cover all of your wages, your workers' comp, your insurance, any cost that would incur to the host site. So it really becomes at no risk to both the intern as well as the host site. So it's a win-win for both. I'm going to briefly go over this. This is just a quick one-page description layout. You can find a lot more templates on our website. So it goes over what people like and admire about you and what's important to you and how to best support you. But when it comes to employment, we do things a little bit differently. So instead of what people like and admire, what are the skills you're bringing to the workplace? What do you help mom and dad with at home? What are some cool hobbies you have, some talents, things about your personality that make you you? Are you very outgoing or are you very observant? What are some gifts or experiences? Have you volunteered before? Have you worked before? What are some things that you're good at? And then instead of what's important to you, what are your interests, your hopes, your dreams as you train, learn, and prepare for a job or a career? And then what type of supports or accommodations do you need in the workplace or work training classes? And when we complete this form during the internship meeting, we're able to really identify all of these key areas to set you up for success. So it's a very well-rounded program. And I really like the fact that you're able to test out different fields and still get paid for the experience that you're doing. And Judi, I know you've had some interns with part of our paid internship program. So maybe you can give us some feedback on that.
Yeah, we've had quite a few interns, and the last one we had was Kevin Chang. MJ's here. He's waiting to hear back from Aviana so he can get onboarded. But it's a really good experience for them because they get to work, they learn a whole bunch of different skills, they get to build confidence, and they learn about themselves. And so, for example, Kevin really learned that he loves running events and he's very good at it. And that wouldn't have been something that he would have necessarily learned. And he learned where he needs to work on things. And now he's doing Project Search, which you're going to talk about next. So it's a great opportunity for the intern to learn skills. And it's a great opportunity for the employer because they get to have somebody work for them and not necessarily have to have an employee. For those that who get involved, I don't want you to think that just because you're not paying their salary, you're doing a lot because you're basically helping them do their job and learn their skill sets. So, but it's a really, really great program. I'm going to, at the end, talk about Autism in Entertainment, and I've seen a lot of people leverage the paid internship program to really build up their skill set. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think it's less pressure on both parties, right? You're allowed to make those mistakes and learn as you grow without that pressure of, is this going to be part of my employment performance contract? And as a work site, you haven't officially hired this individual, and you kind of have this free shot of seeing what it's like to work with them. So really enjoy this program, and I see the benefit and the impact on what it can do to help support someone in getting a job long term. All right. I'm going to, because I realize I am way over time, I'm going to briefly go over Project Search. So Project Search is a program that is actually worldwide. There's over 600 program sites developed worldwide. Really cool. Canada, England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, Netherlands, Bahrain. Really, really, really great, which means that this program model works. And I like to describe it as shot at a career type level. So in Project Search, you're not going to be placed in an internship environment at a fast food restaurant or something that's very entry level. These are typically done at universities or hospitals or healthcare agencies. And there's this whole network of support around you between a job coach and a skills trainer and a teacher and a steering committee behind you all the way to help support you in navigating the whole internship experience. And you get, you get 4 different internship rotations in the 10-month of your non-paid internship program. And I pulled this screen up to show you an example of what one of those internship rotations would look like. So this intern was placed in the gastroenterology department at Kaiser, and they are sanitizing bins in the spoke room and redressing with plastic liners. Obviously, sanitizing things correctly is a big part of a hospital setting because things have to be clean, right? Things are messy. There's bodily fluids and liquids and blood, and these are all things that need to be sanitized correctly. So in this department, sanitizing is a huge component. Ensuring that they're all stocked up, restocking, creating linen funnels. These are all things that a normal employee would be doing. So under Project Search, you are working alongside other department employees with a department mentor and a skills trainer, and you get these 4 awesome department rotations. And throughout your experience at Project Search and even afterwards, Goodwill, along with your steering committee support, which looks like this, we are all working hard to make sure you have these employability skills to get a job. Sometimes it's that offer is made during your Project Search experience. We've had many people in our very first Kaiser Irvine year that opened last year get pulled out of Project Search early and get job offers. So by the time we were done with Project Search, we were down to 1 intern from the 6 that we had because all 5 of them were taken out and placed. People wanted them. So while it was Kaiser and Irvine, Kaiser Anaheim stole one, not stole in a bad way, but took 1 person because he was just amazing at doing his job. So they took him there. Mission Hospital was another one. So a lot of our interns are really, really successful, but you get the result of what you put in. So we want people that are dedicated to getting a job and working hard because this is intense. When you're working in a hospital setting, it's fast. It is a lot of things going on. It can be very, very stressful at times, and there's a lot of job duties. So if you're ready for that, or you have someone that you know that would be ready for that fast-paced, kind of fast-tracked work environment, please talk to your service coordinator and ask for a referral for project search. Okay. Last but not least, this is our chart of everything that we went over today. And on the back of this chart, which doesn't look so great, looks very blurry on my end, but I will send you a cleaner copy, Judi, is a list of all the programs that I went through today, along with a little snippet of what that program curriculum looks like. So you can check that out. That can help guide you with your conversation with your service coordinator. And again, remember, the two things that you need to go over is, what do I want to do and how much support do I need to accomplish those goals?
Thank you so much, Anita. There are a couple of questions. So the first one is about project search. Is it only open to college students?
It is not open to college students. So it is open to anyone that's 18 and over. 18 and over if they have their high school diploma. 22 if they have their certificate of completion. We call it a young adult program, but that's very loosely said. We've had, I think, a 36 or 37-year-old young man in there. So it's really more about, are you a right fit in terms of the fast-paced environment, and is this something you want to accomplish? Are you dedicated to employment?
Okay, there was a question. Someone was trying to understand the role of goodwill.
Oh,
and
so
it's not just in project search. They asked the question earlier on. So maybe the concept of what, as a vendor, what they offer.
Yeah. So earlier I referenced, I'm sure Rebecca will go over this, but Zavikon is a vendor, meaning you are an agency affiliated with Regional Center or Department of Rehabilitation, and you're funded through one of our agencies, and you provide a specific service. So Goodwill has a really large portfolio of services that they offer. They offer job coaching supports. They offer post-secondary education support. So for project search, they are our employment vendor. They are the ones that supply the instructor and the skills trainer, set up the departments for project search, and they are our liaison that really goes into that host site to help navigate and execute the program.
Okay, there's a question here, Anita. Do the behavioral management day programs mentioned briefly earlier have a waiting list? A family member, an HRC client, has had a hard time finding an appropriate program because of his behavioral issues, even though HRC has searched both Long Beach and West OC.
Yes, so it depends on your need. Another not so great part of what happened with rate reform is it got rid of our one-to-one service, meaning our vendors that were already providing one-to-one services can continue to provide one-to-one. However, their rates were not raised like the other services. And so, in fact, they are losing money every time they take one-to-one clients. So this is something that needs to be brought up to the department by as many people as can be. Regional Center of Orange County brings this up to the department all the time. We encourage families and individuals that we support to do the same, to talk about this issue because it's a huge issue. You can't just get rid of one-to-one and magically expect that someone's needs are going to be able to be met in a different ratio, like 1-2 or 1-3. So that's part of the program issue. Our programs that are providing one-to-one support are not taking any new referrals whatsoever, because again, they are losing money on accepting those clients. So that's probably one of the biggest issues that we're facing right now. But if your individual is appropriate for a 1-2, meaning one job coach to 2 people, and that's okay, we have a lot of programs that are available and have availability right now.
So Anita, we'll have this be the last question, I think, so that Rebecca can present, and it kind of dovetails well to hers. But people were wondering, how do you get the job? So if you're going to do the paid internship, how do you find the employer that you're going to work for?
So we usually go with an agency like Zavikon or Goodwill, and they are the ones that will meet with you to do that person-centered plan, and then their job developers will work to find the best placement for you. You don't have to go through an agency, especially if you're pretty independent and don't need any job coaching. In those cases, I highly recommend you look within your own network. Oftentimes, parents are a great resource. They know of a business that would potentially have an opening. You can talk to friends, you can talk to other family members and see, hey, this is what I want to do. Is there a business that you can think of that I would be a good fit for an internship? One of our individuals in our program was really interested in becoming a music producer and talked to his service coordinator. He doesn't need any job coaching. He lives on his own. He has a son. He drives, very independent. Our service coordinator said, "Yeah, I have a friend that owns a music studio. Let me talk to him. Let me hit him up and see if there's an opportunity there." And there was. The only thing is, he ended up getting fired because he was a little too good at his job. He ended up poaching clients, which you shouldn't do from your employer. So, um, but yeah, he didn't need any job coaching, and his service coordinator was the one that found that opportunity for him. So talk to neighbors, family, friends, people in your community, and they might know of a business that would be willing to open their doors to you.
Thank you so much, Anita.
Ooh.
Thank you so much. So if you have other questions for Anita, do you want to put your email address in the chat? And we're ready to go on to Rebecca. Rebecca, do you have turn on your camera so I can spotlight you for everybody? So there you go. Rebecca, it's so great to see you. Rebecca and I have been working with each other, it seems like forever. And I'm thrilled that she's here today to share with you about Zavikon. Hi, Rebecca.
Hey. Great. So this is how to work with Zavikon. So Zavikon is an employment agency and a consulting firm, and we're focused on placing individuals who are neurodivergent and those with disabilities in career-oriented employment. And we do it in a supported manner. We work with companies to help them learn how to hire properly and to employ best practices in hiring so that you are set up for success and you get the best opportunity possible to build your career. So some of the services that we offer, we do job readiness. We do this through being vendored with the regional center, and we work with individuals to help them either identify what type of career they want. So we have career assessments that can actually lead you through the process of figuring out what you want to do. If you know what you want to do, then we start looking at your strengths, and we are very strength-based. So we want to make sure that we're applying your best skills in the most positive way. We do training if you need help with interview preparation. If your resume is not up to par, we'll help you create that resume. We'll help you with your social media, most importantly, LinkedIn, making sure that you have a really good professional LinkedIn profile. And then we help you find a job. We do career coaching, and our career coaching is two-sided. We work with the employer and we work with you to make sure that the match is good and that your accommodations are in place. And we call those success factors. And we call them success factors.
It's okay. You don't
Okay. Oh, I thought that was a question. I think it's just somebody with they're not muted. So our career coaching is really also, it's very much focused on the employer, helping them understand how to set you up for success in their workplace. We do the job accommodation, identification. Sometimes you don't know what you need in the workplace to help you succeed. So we'll help you identify things that might help you. Career counseling, supports assessments, we advocate for you, and we do ongoing career advisement. Once you're part of the Zavikon family, you can call us at any time if you need help with your career. We work with all disabilities, both visible and invisible. We do all sectors, all types of jobs, you name it. And we do explain to our clients that a lot of our candidates are seeking their first employment opportunity. So we help you enter into employment in a safe way. We work across the US and we work with on-site, hybrid, and remote opportunities. So our candidate placement services, if you become a candidate in our database, there is no cost for you to be part of our database. What we do is we will do a skills assessment. We will review your resume and we'll prepare it in our format so that the employer can clearly see your skills. We will do an accommodation identification with you. Then we start their job search, and that can look like many different ways. We can often target companies that are already in our database. If your parents bring forth a company that they want you to do a paid internship, we can approach that company and explain the program. It's just a multitude of things and ways that we go about finding opportunities for people. We will prepare you for your interview, and we do a supported interview. So if the employer will allow us to be present in the interview, to be a support mechanism for you, we will be there if it's virtual. We do onboarding support, making sure you have all your paperwork filled out properly and that you know when you're starting, what time to be there, all the things that you need to be ready to start on your first day. And then we will do the career coaching throughout your time at the employer. We usually stay for 90 days coaching the employer on how to work best with you, but we will always be by your side as long as you need us. So how do you get started with us? You reach out to info@zavikon.net. You can send your resume to info@zavikon.net. We also have a contact form on our website. You could fill that out and it'll come to us. And then we will send you an application and there will be some documents that you should fill out. But first is the application, and then you're ready for the next steps. So once we have your application, we will schedule a 30-minute meet and greet. It's very casual. It's not an interview. You get to meet our lovely recruiter, Devin, and he will ask you a series of questions so he really understands what you're looking for. And then we'll have you take a few more assessments online and fill out a few more forms. Once you're completed with that, you are ready to, for us to start looking for a job for you. We will identify job opportunities as they come into our database, and we will market your resume to suitable jobs. And then once we get an interview, we'll prepare you and be with you during the interview process if the employer allows. And then we'll help you negotiate your job offer and offer the career coaching supports. Now, this is a little bit different from our job readiness. So when you come into our database as a job seeker and you go through this process, it's not a one-on-one type situation where we're totally focused on you and finding you that job. As clients bring in jobs or as we know we can market you to clients that are already in our database, we will do so. If you want that one-on-one focused attention where we're actually strategizing and applying to jobs alongside you and coaching you, that is our job readiness program that you would have to access through the regional center. So our career coaching support is, like I said, 90 days. And, we'll help you through all the process of getting onboarded. We want the employer to understand how to set you up for success, whether that's you need noise canceling headphones, or you need to sit in a quiet part of the office, or you need a flexible work schedule. Whatever it is, we try to get those things set up for you in advance. And then we make sure that whatever we get set up in advance is working. Because sometimes we need to make little adjustments and tweak a few things, so we're there to help you do that. We will provide the hiring manager with education and preparation. And what does that look like? Well, we want to make sure that the hiring manager understands autism. Not everybody does, and we can't make assumptions that people do. So we will go in and coach and educate them about autism and how to set you up for success. And then our career coaches are available for any question and guidance. It's all done virtually, so we're not there on site with you. If you actually need a job coach on site with you, then we will help coordinate and guide you through getting that job coach either through the regional center or through the Department of Rehabilitation. And I would definitely, suggest that if you are a regional center client, but you haven't gotten signed up with the DOR, go ahead and start that process. You want to make sure that you are signed up with both. So, because they work in tandem, they work with each other and they collaborate with each other to help you find the right opportunity. So, your career journey, your career is really important to us. That is what we do. That is what we are all about. But we also need you being active in the process. So if you become a job seeker within our database, you need to follow up with us, monthly, maybe every other week to say, hey, how's it going? Do you have any opportunity? Let us know that you're still looking. Let us know that you still need help, and communicate with us. And if you get a job, let us know. So we know that you have found employment. You can scan this QR code and it's going to take you to an email that you can attach your resume to or just send us a little note. And this is how you can get started with us, and we will get that application. We do get a lot of candidates, so sometimes there's a minor delay, but we try to be on top of getting responses to you as quickly as possible and getting you scheduled. Info@zavikon.net is the best way to reach us. And we also, one of the things I didn't mention, Anita did mention, is that we work very, very closely with the regional center and their paid internship program. So what does that look like? If we find employment and we decide, it's prudent to do the paid internship, we will work with the employer to do all of the paperwork and get all that paperwork done. We try to make it as easy on an employer to open their door for you to come in, and they also get our support. So we take care of all of that and we help guide you through getting signed up as well. It is a process and it does take time. There's a lot of different steps. There's paperwork along the way to fill out. And then, of course, you have to fill out your typical employment documents like your W-2 and your I-9 and all the documents that you have to fill out to have employment. We can help you through all of that. So we try to make it as easy as possible, but you have to be patient because sometimes it takes 3 to 4 weeks to get all of the paperwork done and for the employer of record to get their paperwork done. So you will be employed by a separate employer of record. So what that means is, I'm going to just use this as an example. You get a job at Kaiser in a paid internship. You're going to be working for Kaiser. They're going to be guiding your work, but you're actually going to be an employee of a different company. And they're the ones that are going to pay you and cover your workers' compensation and your sick time. So just understand that when you do the paid internship, you're actually not an employee of Kaiser. You're working for Kaiser. They're the work site, but you have a different employer of record. And that takes time to get all of those things set up. But Zavikon will guide you through it and make sure that you are informed throughout the entire process. So this is a resource guide that we put together. And I think it's a nifty little tool. Um, so here are some employment resources. I do need to go through and make sure that these are still relevant. It's been a little while since we did it, but these are neurodivergent job boards that you can go to, agencies that you can tap into that like Zavikon. And then companies that have been focused on neurodivergent hiring. All of these are technology oriented. So if that's one thing you should know about those companies that there was a lot of companies that came up in the early 2000s that were focused on technology. These are just general job boards that you can use. Employment resources, so career services. These are companies that we know have programs. And then these I really want to focus on is different workforce resources, and the ONET online is a great one if you want to do some exploration around different careers and how much they pay in the different areas and all the different types of careers that are in certain career families, go there and play. It is really, really neat. That's about us. Here's some tips and tricks. So different places that can help you put your resume together. I'm sure that there's other ones out there now with AI. You can even use like ChatGPT to help you pull together a resume. And one thing I want to say is think about your transferable skills. If you haven't had a job, I know many people think, well, how can I have a resume? You can have a resume. If you walked your neighbor's dog, if you helped at home, if you worked for a family member, those are all things that you can add to your resume. Volunteer work. Okay? So think about those transferable skills. These are some job seeking tips and tricks, organizing your job search. Great template here to keep track of where you're applying to. This is all about researching companies and places that you can go to check them out. Um, an immersive reader, how to rock your LinkedIn profile, some advice on that. How to figure out what accommodations you can ask for. Jan is an incredible place to go look. It's the Job Accommodation Network. Preparing for your interview, interview best practices, thank you notes. There's workbooks and scripts, how to follow up. And then here's some sample scripts and then places that you can create your own. How to research a company, what do you want to look for, how do you research them, understanding what you want, how many hours do you want to work, what type of schedule do you want, what type of environment, how much do you want to make. It's important that you know that in advance. And then more things to think about. So this is a handy dandy little tool. I will put it in the chat. Please feel free to jump in there and use it. And it will be getting updated at some point here soon to make sure that those that all the information's relevant because it's been a little while. But it is a good tool.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Rebecca? Rebecca, one person was asking, they don't qualify for regional center services and they were wondering what they should do. I suggested DOR and also still contacting you. Any thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah. So if you don't qualify, definitely you do qualify for the DOR. And then you also have local workforce boards, and those workforce boards are also there to help you find employment. I encourage you to go and meet with your local workforce board.
I also want to recommend if you're in college, talking to your school counselor. Oftentimes they have a a workforce department that can help either put you in a program or the counselor can help navigate
Mhm.
the job world.
Okay, other questions for Rebecca? Thank you so much, Rebecca. I look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name's Jessica Lee. I am co-founder and executive director of NeuroTalent Works. I am so sorry that I am not able to join you all tonight, but I'm excited to still provide an update from our organization on some of what we are working on, and hopefully some helpful resources as well. So to start, for anyone who is not familiar with NeuroTalent Works, we're a nonprofit, and for the last 9 years, we've been partnering with companies to embrace neurodiversity in the workplace, and to also connect employers to our neurodiverse talent pool. We've been doing this for 9 years and worked with companies locally and globally, and it's ranged from employers at Fortune 500 companies to also small and medium-sized companies as well. We've worked with thousands of job candidates, and also work really closely with other talent sourcing partners such as OCASG and Zavikon, community colleges, universities, government agencies. We really serve as a bridge into employment and to find companies and to partner with companies to embrace what it really means to accept and to value every type of mind. This is a sample of some of our business partners that we've had. You can see that they vary across industries, and we work with all of these companies in varying ways, which I'll share about in a bit. But yeah, we're really excited to have grown such a strong network of employers, many in Southern California. We've been getting asked a lot about, how we've been impacted in the last year and a half with a lot of the changes that have happened at the federal level. I will say last year was a really tough year for us because of the executive orders and a lot of companies not pausing or not continuing with some of their diversity and inclusion efforts. But what I will say is that many companies are continuing the work, but just more quietly, which is great, but also very hard for job candidates because you don't know what companies are investing in this work or not. And we're not able to publicly share for many of them because of the legal risk that they might take having a federal contract. So it is an interesting time to navigate, but hopefully the encouragement is that there are still companies investing in this work, still companies bringing us in for training to help employees and managers to better understand what neurodiversity is. Um, and what's been most encouraging is that there are a lot more neurodivergent professionals disclosing to their employer. And we get those phone calls of companies saying, hey, someone just shared that they are autistic. We don't know how to support them. Can you come and be of help to us? So just wanted to share that too, because I think that's a really important time for us, that with the awareness that we've all been working hard to grow, that people are feeling more safe to disclose to their employer. And not everybody does, but that as that happens, that more and more companies are also needing to invest in understanding what neurodiversity is, and for you to just be encouraged and to know that that is happening today. I also wanted to give an update on our organization and just where we've been at. Unfortunately, because of the trickle-down effect of the federal changes, that impacts state funding like Department of Rehabilitation. And then that, impacts a lot of programs that us and many other nonprofits run. But I'm excited to share about our industry training model and how that's been really successful, and now how we're replicating and growing them. So the last time I was here, I provided an update on our insurance program. This was our Neurodiversity and Insurance Program, funded by the Department of Rehabilitation with special federal funds that they had. And we were able to build a 3-week job training program for individuals that were interested in working in the insurance industry. So we had 27 individuals trained, and we're really proud to say that we had 83% of them placed into work experiences after the training program. So that was internships, part-time jobs, full-time jobs. And that was with 15 employer partners, where some employers gave 2 to 3 work experiences with us. And what was special about this funding was that at that time, from the last administration, these dollars were to invest in disability employment and removed a lot of the red tape that the state agencies often have, that enabled us to be funded to go pursue insurance companies to hire from this program. So traditional government funding does not allow them to fund an organization like us to go to, insurance industry conferences where I'm able to meet all insurance companies and ask them if they want to hire from this program, which is a big change that needs to be made. And for us, it's the only way that we're going to see greater employment outcomes for our community, is if there can be funding to invest in our time to do business development, just as you would in any type of sales. And so this insurance program really was a demonstration of a model that works, where we give the same attention and effort and readiness to job candidates as we do to the employers. And so unfortunately, the intent of this was to demonstrate a model that could hopefully then continue to be funded. But because of funding cuts, unfortunately, and as many of you might know, with changes that DOR has had to make this year, they're very limited in funding, and we're not able to continue funding this program. So we are looking for funding to replicate this. We've had a couple other states that are interested in replicating this program. And we're also looking for insurance companies who might want to sponsor or adopt this program because it was so successful. So that was our Neurodiversity in Insurance program. What is really exciting to share is that we are now taking that model and replicating it in other industries. So in Orange County, we are replicating and growing this program in the healthcare sector in partnership with Goodwill of Orange County, who runs Project Search, which is a job training program with hospitals throughout Orange County, funded by the regional centers. And Chapman Thompson Policy Institute, as well as our Orange County Local Partnership Agreement, which is over 280 of us in education and workforce development all across Orange County. It's how Judi and I met, that work together to see greater outcomes in employment. So this year, we were funded by the governor's California Jobs First initiative. Thank goodness we're in California. And through the Orange County Business Council, we've been provided a grant to partner with Goodwill's Project Search program to bring all of our neurodiversity training to the employers in the healthcare industry. And so Rady Children's Health, which was previously CHOC, they were acquired, was our first employer that we partnered with this year. And the hypothesis here was, there were a lot of Project Search program participants that successfully finished their 1-year program. But how could we increase more internships and more employment opportunities for Project Search participants? And so the hypothesis was maybe more is needed to be done on the employer side, so that employers feel comfortable, have the tools, training and support to confidently hire from the program. So this year we've been funded to do all of our employer readiness services for these healthcare providers. So Rady Children's Health was the first one that we did training for this year, where they made it mandatory for all of the departments participating in Project Search. And we got really great feedback from the managers and supervisors of the 5 departments that were hosting interns, of just having a greater understanding of how different minds work. And that's what our training is all about. And now Kaiser Permanente in Irvine is also very interested in bringing that same training, because they also host Project Search site. So we're really grateful for this, and we're currently pursuing other funding with Goodwill and Chapman to replicate and grow this program, because healthcare is the #1 growing industry, not only in Orange County, but across the US. There is a tremendous need for healthcare workers, with, a larger aging population. And so this is a really big growth industry, and where we are looking to expand our programs, and partner with more healthcare and healthcare adjacent organizations like senior living centers. Edwards Life Sciences hired from their program. So healthcare, organizations also. We're also hoping to get funding to build a job training program, similar to the insurance one, where the insurance jobs that we were placing were mostly for policy processing of, when you do like an auto renewal or your personal lines renewal of your insurance on your house, that most of the roles were people supporting underwriting or renewing policies in the system, computer-based work. For the healthcare sector, Project Search and Goodwill's program has typically been placing people in clinical, patient-facing roles, like in the departments, actually in the hospitals. And so what we're seeking funding for right now is to expand that and to do job training programs for back office roles also, such as medical coding, accounting, clerical positions, like data medical records management. And so we're really hopeful for this, but looking for funders. So the key, what you'll continue to hear me say is, and to know is, we're always looking for funders to keep these programs going, or to expand them. And then the third program, industry program that we are launching this year is a civic sector program. So this will be a 2-week training program, with LA County, on what it means to work for the civic sector, to actually have a job with the county, and importantly, how to create your candidate profile and, prepare for and pass the civic exam process, which, can be lengthy for the county jobs, but certainly worth it because the county is such a stable employer and with great benefits. And so what's exciting here is that the Board of Supervisors last April unanimously approved a motion to start a neurodiversity hiring program in the county. And 1 year later, we're excited to share that the regional centers are funding this initiative, this pilot program, and LA County as well is funding this to bring it to life. And so we will have more information to share, hopefully this summer, about this program. And so this will be for LA County jobs, and mostly people who live in LA County. So we're really excited, where we feel like this industry model of, having job training for the industry and then having the ability to pursue employers in that industry to hire from these programs has been a really successful model. And so we hope to continue running these and perhaps expanding them in the future as well. Just to give a sense of, how we partner with employers, for Project Search and the healthcare program in Orange County, we have provided training to managers and mentors of the program. We've partnered with the Department of Human Resources to share our best practices in talent acquisition and talent retention. And for us, we've been able to learn about, the really important attributes of candidates that HR teams are looking for that are very unique to the healthcare sector. And that's why taking a sector approach has been really strategic for us, because we then start to really understand that industry and their talent needs. And then we also provide training that's organization-wide to ensure that employers and teams have a broadened understanding of neurodiversity. And what's been really powerful too is when companies host neurodiversity training, it makes current employees who are neurodivergent also feel safe to disclose and to, share about their experiences with other colleagues, and parents who work at those companies to just feel so proud that they work at a company that is caring about neurodiversity and growing awareness and knowledge of it. And so it's the same ask that Judi and I have every year, but we're always looking for companies, the ones you work at, where your friends work at, who might have an interest in this and want to bring in neurodiversity training to their organization, even if it's just to do a lunch and learn to raise awareness, that can really make a difference at these companies to start a relationship and to eventually further a partnership towards hiring or other ways of partnership. So just to know how we partner with employers, 4 core services that we offer. First, our neurodiversity training and workshops. This is what we're doing the most of right now, and what companies are still investing in. And a lot of it is because understanding all types of minds just helps everybody and helps all managers become better managers to their people. And so we're really excited that there's companies still investing in this. We also do strategic consulting. So some companies may bring us in and have us look at their workplace accommodations process, where a lot of people actually do not use the accommodations process because they tend to be very legal heavy, or they don't feel safe to disclose. And it's not a collaborative experience with HR. And so we're brought in to redesign those accommodations processes to provide HR with more resources of what are common accommodations that neurodivergent professionals seek, and to help them to then better support their employees. We also are a staffing service and talent acquisition. So we continue to collect resumes on our website of neurodivergent individuals and job candidates. Unfortunately, we had to pause our one-on-one services, but we are about to launch office hours so that we can help address some of the questions that job candidates have. And I'll share about that in the next couple slides. And then the 4th service that we offer is in talent retention. So we do one-on-one coaching with neurodivergent professionals, also with their managers. And more, we've been getting calls even when there's conflict between an employee and their manager, and just miscommunication that's happening, and HR teams that are calling us to ask us to intervene and to be able to bridge, some of those broken connections and misunderstandings that sometimes happen too. So these are the services that we provide. We really support every company at every stage of the employee life cycle. One of the things, as mentioned, that we get brought in the most for right now is our training. So just wanting to show everyone the trainings that we do. Understanding All Minds is the training that we are getting asked the most for, and we really combine this with Introduction to Neurodiversity, where people are now really eager and ready to go one level deeper to understand, what does cognitive diversity actually mean? How do we understand why certain minds have different attention spans, why, I'm more of a visual processor versus somebody who may be more auditory or might have a delay or a challenge in auditory processing. What does that mean? How do I, as an employer or a manager, then have conversations with my employees about how their minds work? And then more importantly, what do they need to do their best work? And so understanding all minds has been the foundational training that companies have been really interested in bringing us in for. You can also see that we have trainings that are very specific for certain, people leaders in the organization. With HR, we've done workshop series where we do our best practices in interviews and hiring, in talent acquisition and talent retention, navigating disability disclosure, responding to disclosure, and workplace accommodations. We also have launched our critical conversation model, which is for HR leaders when someone discloses their neurodivergence to you. How do you then have a conversation in a way that honors that? So HR teams have really benefited from this because they're usually the first, front of line that people go to when they have questions. And then for teams, we've been really excited. We've been conducting a course called Navigating the Workplace as a Neurodivergent Employee. And so we recently joined a company that has an employee resource group for a neurodiversity and disability ERG, which is like an affiliate group within the organization, where they wanted to provide resources for neurodivergent employees. And we did a community conversation and we're able to gather actual perspective from their neurodivergent employees of what they most wanted their managers to know, of what they felt like they needed to mask to be accepted in the workplace. And so that was really powerful. And for companies and teams that are really still centering their people. We also are doing customized training. There's a very large gaming company that has hired us to do customized training for them because so many of their customers are neurodivergent and they're wanting to better understand how to interact with and how to host events for their players and for neurodivergent individuals that might come to their events. So and then the last thing that we're piloting is these team effectiveness activities where we get to map our minds and then talk about how we collaborate and work best as a team. And why we love this is because no one has to disclose their neurodivergence for this to be effective. This is more powerful that we can be able to talk about our minds and then be able to talk about the strategies that help us at work. And this is the burden that we want to remove for neurodivergent professionals. Because although it is helpful to share your diagnosis and your disability with your manager, what's more important is to be able to say how that impacts you in your job, and then what do you need to be supported. And so we are looking for more companies and teams to pilot that with. And so if you or your company would be interested in any of these, we would love to come and share about our work and share about these trainings and see if they might be helpful. The other last thing I want to share about are our upcoming webinars. In April, this Wednesday, actually, I'm hosting a conversation with Alex Generous and Ella Dolly. They're two close friends who are both autistic and met as teenagers and are now working professionals. And we're going to be talking about their journeys as women with their diagnoses, navigating the workplace, and self-advocacy strategies that have been most helpful for them. So that is this Wednesday, and you can go to our website under events to register to join this webinar. In May, you are actually the first to hear about this also, so more information to come. We are going to be hosting a webinar and open office hour that's specifically dedicated to two different audiences. The first is for parents that are supporting neurodivergent adults towards employment. I'll be sharing about the most common questions that I get and the most common advice that I give to neurodivergent job candidates towards finding employment right now, and have an office hour where parents can ask questions and can also meet other parents who may be in the community. And then second will be a webinar for neurodivergent job candidates, and that will be about optimizing your job search. And again, some of the most common pieces of advice that I've been giving neurodivergent job candidates: how to leverage AI in your job search, and to also have an open office hour where people can ask questions and to share what we can and what we know right now about the job search, since it is a difficult time to find jobs. A lot of companies are investing in AI and pausing a lot of hiring because they are trying to see where AI can optimize job roles right now. But we are hopeful and thinking that hopefully jobs will start to pick up and if the markets improve as well. So it is a difficult time for finding jobs. If you'd like to join our mailing list, you can email us at info@neurotalentworks.org and you'll hear about these webinars. Or you can just go to our website to our events page and you'll see our webinar announcements there. So thank you for listening to me. I'm so sorry again that I can't be there with you tonight. You can follow us on social media channels. You'll also get updates there. Join our events, connect and partner. We would love to meet your companies or your companies that your friends work at, because that is how we are going to grow more employment opportunities long term. And of course, we always appreciate donations as a nonprofit organization. And you can email us at our website to contact us. And just thank you all for being so committed to this work. And I hope to meet some of you soon. All right. Thank you all. Have a great night.
I've run these meetings for at least 5 years, and each time I say to the parents, introduce us to your companies. Let us come in, Jessica or Rebecca would be happy to come into your companies and talk about hiring individuals on the spectrum and share some of these. There's amazing government resources. And I got to say that I'm very disappointed in the response that I get. And this is a problem, it was 80 to 90%. I don't know if the numbers have changed significantly, but it's only going to change if people are active. So I want to share what I've been doing to change the world, and maybe it'll inspire you. Screen, I've been running the Autism in Entertainment Work Group since 2022. And I'm going to just tell you a little bit about it. How did that get started? I was running Orange County Asperger's Support Group back then, now called Autism Society of Orange County. And I was running Career Club, and I was seeing a lot of need for people finding employment. And for me personally, my son wanted to go into the film industry. And I sensed that the film industry was not about, they were about diversity, but they weren't about neurodiversity. And I thought, what if we created a work group that was going to work on this? And I think you saw a little bit of this in Jessica Lee's presentation, how taking a vertical market approach has a stronger benefit because she can focus on insurance or healthcare and work on common skills. So I had the same idea about entertainment. I met with Rebecca from Zavikon, and I shared this idea of starting a work group based on entertainment. In one of our virtual support meeting, which I encourage you to come to our virtual support meetings because that's where parents talk and that's where adults talk and share their challenges and their successes. One of them, Patricia Turney, showed up, who was at the time the chair of the board for Exceptional Minds. Now, Exceptional Minds is one of the leaders in neurodivergent training in the film industry. They do animation and After Effects. And I told her about this idea of forming a work group, and she said that she thought that was a good idea and she would participate. So we formed the work group in May of 2022, and then we ended up applying for a Department of Developmental Services grant to do something, and we did a conference. And that really helped us identify a bunch of things. So this is not about the conference so much as about autism in entertainment.
I'm Scott, and I'm autistic. We were born wired differently, and that's our advantage.
Partnering with Autism in Entertainment isn't just good philanthropy. It's a smart investment in the future of your business and our industry. Join a network of leaders unlocking new talent and a community dedicated to inclusion and creativity.
As I look back, I think all my stuff is about being on the spectrum, and all my characters are on the spectrum, because I don't know how to not be on the spectrum. To me, it is a superpower.
Our partners see real results. Stronger employee engagement, a more dynamic workplace, and a brand reputation that stands out. Together, we can build an entertainment industry where talent knows no bounds, and neurodiversity is celebrated as a source of strength.
So our mission is to increase employment of work-ready autistic talent in the entertainment industry. So we're specifically about increasing employment. And we do it by having employers think of diversity, including neurodiversity. That wasn't the case. It was mostly, what color you were, who you were slept with, but it didn't have anything to do with whether your brain was wired differently. The tech space has been more welcoming. There's been a program that we've had people come from and it used to be called Autism at Work. Now it's called Neurodiversity at Work, but it was really tech centric. So people, had SAP, Dell, HP, a lot of the tech spaces. And so in general, people on the spectrum have succeeded more in engineering and computer science jobs, and they had a good brand. And so we wanted that brand strength in the entertainment space. And then we wanted to share some of the resources. There are a lot of resources out there to help organizations if they're aware of it, like the paid internship program are examples of one. And then we try to help the talent figure out how to navigate. So you guys know why this is important, but this is for people in the Television Academy that I did this slide. But in general, it's because autism is growing. 1 in 31 now. When my son was diagnosed, I think it was 1 in 200. And unemployment continues to be a problem. So we have to solve this problem. Companies that hire neurodiverse have better revenues, and their people feel more included across the board, because when you're being more open to differences and are more mindful of how you communicate, it has an impact on the culture. And then there's a lot of people on the spectrum that have talent. One of the things that we've learned is that there's a lot of people in a lot of industries that are on the spectrum and have been very successful. And it just hasn't been something that people were aware of. So this is just sharing why it's important. This is, again, for the Television Academy. But did you know that 51% of the regional center clients have autism? Regional center wasn't set up just for autism, but because of the growth of autism, 51%. It's not specific to any one race. It's across the board. And people on the spectrum might have other disabilities too. So when you're helping someone on the spectrum, you're not just helping someone on the spectrum. And I would argue that most people know somebody who's impacted by being on the spectrum. So our approach is an ecosystem approach. It's really very different than a lot of other nonprofits, because what we're trying to do is change the world. And we're doing it from a person-centered place. So as people go
as the talent goes through life, we need to make sure that as they engage in each step, so whether it's education or applying for internships or figuring out how to find a job, that there are organizations that are there to help them, and that the policies and procedures and everything out there isn't working against them. So in terms of education, is it flexible? Are they going to learn hard and soft skills? Because a lot of people on the spectrum may have trouble with some of the communication skills. And are they going to need to be work ready? Internships. Are there internships available for people on the spectrum? Are they supported? Do they lead to pathways to employment? Are there ways to make connections? Are there ways to get mentorship? A lot of jobs, as you know, come from knowing other people. And if you are not connecting with those other people through conferences, through mentor programs, through universities, then you're not going to find the jobs, because you need to have the relationships. And then finally, in terms of employment, is the employer being inclusive? Do they hire in a way that's going to bring on people on the spectrum? Do they onboard in a way that is helping you be your best person? And do they advance and retain people on the spectrum? So with each of these parts of the ecosystem, there's a lot of things that go into that. So when I say that we're working with organizations, it's like you got to work with the government. You've got to work with and make sure that they have rules and procedures that are, like, one of the issues that I focus on is Social Security. Because Social Security, if you're getting Social Security, that's great. But the problem is, if you work, you may lose your Social Security benefits. So the government needs to change some of these rules so people aren't afraid of working because they're going to lose their benefits. So, just different aspects of the ecosystem need to be mindful of individuals on the spectrum. So what we do is we build a community. So it's not just one company that's going to solve this. A lot of times you'll see companies and they think they're going to solve everything. We're really about building a community. We're really about bringing people together. And we do it in events, and we do it with webinars, and we have lots of different partners. We have ways of communicating. We've gone to film festivals. We have podcasts where we talk to people. We do articles just to change the way people think. We help the talent navigate their process through going to webinars and meeting other people who have had the journey, going on studio tours and seeing what the facility is like and talking to some of the employees, having mentors, doing internships. So we're about trying to create these in the entertainment space. And we do this through working with partners. So it's about finding other organizations that are part of the ecosystem that help deliver programming. A lot of these are educational partners. And when we did the conference, one of the amazing things is we discovered there were so many companies that were in place simply to train people on the spectrum to do different tasks in the entertainment industry. And they were seeing a lot of skills and a lot of passion. So whether it was game design or animation or acting, they were involved. One of the things I wanted to point out was our newest member is the Chance Theater. And I'm really excited because we've been working with the Chance Theater for the last 8 years on their teen program, Spectrum Speak Up, which every summer 10 to 20 teens on the spectrum spend 6 weeks learning about the theater and putting on their own show. In the fall, Chance expanded it to include adults, so that now they have an ongoing adult program. And we were thrilled because a lot of these organizations are in LA, and I know that a lot of our people drive all the way to LA to participate. So I'm glad to see some organizations in Orange County. I want to give you some examples. So mentors are really important, and it's a really good way for people to, like, whatever your interest is in terms of career, meeting with someone who's been on that journey who can give you advice. Look at your resume, give you a comment, look at your portfolio, tell you about their experience in terms of working. Having a mentor is really helpful. So we were approached by Exceptional Minds to put together a mentor program. And so it's a 4-session program. We just started it. We're halfway through. We've done 2 sessions. It's a 90-minute program where the first 30-minute is a training session. So how do you kind of like to communicate? Are you someone who likes to listen? Do you need to write things down first before you say it? So they kind of focused on that. And then after the training, they get together in mentor circles with 3 or 4 other talent who have similar interests and a professional mentor. And that professional mentor, and they have a discussion and they get that experience of having a mentor. And this is from Tyler, who's an actor, a voice actor, and he is just really enjoyed this. We've had about 18 people participate in this. And it's just so helpful that they got to work with a mentor. And that's just an example of a program. Another thing that things happen, when you start working on a particular industry, you find other people that care about this. You find those as their education partners. And we were approached by a company called LDI, Live Design International, and they host a festival, an expo in Las Vegas every year. And it's just focused on live entertainment. And they invited us to come and have a booth. And it was valued at $20,000, all the things that they gave us. And they'd let us do it for free. And so we went there, and it was really, really interesting because a lot of the people that we've been working with haven't been in the live entertainment area. They've been in animation, game design, those kind of things. But this was live entertainment. And we had all sorts of people come by our booth and say, I'm on the spectrum, or I think I work with a whole team of people on the spectrum, and they're doing lighting or sound or some aspect of putting on a live show. Or we had parents who say, my kid's on the spectrum, and we had somebody drive all the way from LA to come and see us. So we learned that there was an opportunity there. And what we learned also was, unlike some of the other entertainment segments, live entertainment is growing. If you think about it, everyone wants to put on a show. So all the big shows at the big theaters are growing, but then churches have turned their productions into shows. Or if you have a sales meeting, that's a big show. So, there's shows all the time. And so there's opportunity, and that's not necessarily being replaced by AI or robots. So it's an opportunity for live work. And there's plenty of work in Orange County. We have Disneyland, we have Knott's Berry Farm. And so we met at this event. So this is like how it works. We met an organization called Even. And Even does apprenticeships. So they have a training program, and then they do an 18-month apprenticeship. And they haven't been focused on individuals on the spectrum. And they said, that's been something we want to do. And so after the conference was over, we got together with them, and one of our educational partners, Yes I Can, has done music festivals and has trained a lot of people on sound and wiring and all the work that it takes to put on a live show. And they had about a half dozen people that were really ready for the apprenticeship program. So we've gotten them together. They didn't know about each other. We've gotten them together, and now Even's looking at their next cohort to include people from the students from the Yes I Can program. And then Zavikon is also helping in finding more. And now we're talking to LDI because they do a internship program for 40 students during their conference. They bring them in, and for 2 weeks, people work on the conference. And so now they want us to send people to apply to be in the conference and get the internship. So this is kind of how it works. You have to get out there and reach out to different organizations and pull them together. It's not like something that one company can do on its own. There's sources of money too. So as you go out there and you start focusing on this, you learn about new things. So the guy that I talked to from Even said, hey, you need to meet with the Kennedy Center. So I met with the Kennedy Center and I found out that they have this program called the Creative Career Internship Program. What is that program? That program is exactly what we were looking for. Because what we would like is like DreamWorks Animation. We went on a studio tour with DreamWorks Animation and I said, hey, do you have an internship program? Oh, yes, we have an internship program. But they're not mindful of bringing on neurodivergent artists to work in their internship program. Well, this is exactly for DreamWorks because it will give that DreamWorks $25,000 for bringing on 5 interns with disabilities between the ages of 21 and 30 for 10 weeks at 10 to 30 hours per week. So these are the people that they normally have an internship program, but now they're encouraged to actually apply for this program and they'd get $25,000 to help fund staffing, to help fund some kind of programming related to this training, etc. And so we learned about this. This group, the Kennedy Center had gotten $10 million to do this 5 times. So this is the second year that they've offered this. And so now we have to educate the entertainment companies that this is available and this is something they can participate in. Or the paid internship program that you heard about today. This has been a great tool. We were able to work with one of our group members, Suzette Singh, who had been the executive vice president of television production, and she was able to bring on 3 or 4 different regional center clients through the paid internship program. And she basically was saying, hey, we're not paying their salary. And she was able to give those people that experience. So letting companies know about this funding is part of building this ecosystem. Some examples are Julian. Now, Julian, we were talking about regional center clients. Julian is not a regional center client, but he has been able to participate in some programming through Department of Rehab. And he worked on, he was a graduate of the Cal State Northridge film program, and he has worked for us for a couple years through a DOR work experience programming. During that time, he's made about 4 or 5 different documentaries. He's either shot it or edited it. His strength is editing. And he's gotten, his films have been nominated and shown at film festivals. And this is him at Comic-Con. And we got to go to Comic-Con twice because of our film production. This is Tyler Berman. When I first started working on the conference, I was going to have people behind the camera versus people in front of the camera or voice actors. And Tyler started bugging me. I was getting LinkedIn, long letters, him calling me, and I listened to him. And so we expanded it to include live acting. Tyler has had a blessed life. So we did the conference in 2024. I cast Tyler as the voice of God. And so all the announcements made throughout the day were Tyler. And he had been at a program called Spectrum Laboratory, where he was being trained to be a voice actor. At the conference, he met a whole bunch of different people. He met and felt his girlfriend, and they're now moving in together to the Cornerstone facilities in Los Angeles. He has been cast as a narrator on God's Gang. He hosts his own YouTube show called Tyler's Fidget Finds. He had wanted representation. Well, he now has both a manager and an agent. Arlene Sharp who's part of the work group. She started representing people as a manager at Sandstone Artists and has about a dozen people on the spectrum that she represents and finds work for. And then Tyler was recently signed up by Adam Liebman at ERS Agency. So this is someone, and he's been getting jobs, he's been cast, and so all this has happened because we've been helping make people make connections in this industry. Lastly is someone from Orange County, Josh Bass. Josh and my son have been friends since elementary school, and he went to Cal State Fullerton and wanted to go into animation. He's participated in a number of programs, but he was one of the interns for Disney at their animation television group. He works with Zavikon and is currently working with them doing character design. And he's participated in a number of these programs. And so these are like examples of just a few, and there's dozens and dozens and dozens of these type of people who've been able to leverage some of the programs, able to network and meet people, and these things are happening. And I got to say that a lot is happening on television. There's a lot of shows that are featuring people on the spectrum, and some of the people who are at our conference are working. So I just wanted to share this with you because I wanted you to understand that you can't sit back and wait for things to happen to you. The reason I do this is because I care, and I've met some really wonderful people that care too. And, you know, my home son has been involved in this. He's made several documentaries, and he's currently working on a documentary that's going to feature James Rolfe, who is the angry video game nerd. So it's about people who are YouTube celebrities. So I've seen it help him, but I don't just focus on my own kid. I feel like I go to a lot of meetings with you guys, and you only care about your own kid. And I know it's hard, but I'm just saying that if everybody worked hard, just even did a little bit more, like give Jessica Lee a name of somebody that they work with or a friend that might be interested. If each of you just did a little bit more, we don't have the government working for us anymore. They're working against us in terms of trying to change the world. So if we don't do it ourselves, it's not going to happen. And 10 more years from now, it'll still be 80 to 90% unemployed or underemployed. And it just doesn't make sense. There's a lot of really talented people out there that could be working, and we just need to change the world. And so I hope that I inspire you to do something, one little thing that could make a difference, and pay it forward, because it makes, I see just with my little Autism in Entertainment experiment, how huge of an impact it's having and the ripple effect to a lot of people. So anyway, that was what I wanted to share. So any questions?